It's toward the Senate, which is delaying everything, just the process. So there's nothing really to report. They asked BJ to submit some higher numbers, which he did. And we went from the $2 million that we were told to do to just a little over $3 million on these projects. So we're just waiting. We'll just wait and see how the Senate handles this here. That's about all there is to update.
Okay, any questions for Councilman Spiro?
Yeah, that's actually due. BJ's no longer agree when he gets the actual form. It's due by next Friday for the Senate.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you. We'll move on to item 6, Councilman Hour discussion for possible action, approval of monthly balance sheets for general fund, street fund, and enterprise fund.
I look through them, they look good. It's a good reflection of what the budget portrays too. So I make a motion to approve the balance sheets as presented. They got one.
I'll second that.
Motion from Councilman Hour, second from Councilman Beecher. Any further discussion or questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I can't remember where I found it. It's just, I made a statement last meeting about opening and closure, closure of the landfill. I think that I seen it someplace about 3.4 million to close it, and I thought we had 1.8 million. And on this balance sheet, it shows we have 1,044,000, almost 200. So I don't know why I got that 1.8. Is there something I missed? So do actually have the 1.44 that we have for the closure set aside.
Well, we're building it each year.
I know you're voting, but did we send something to the state not too long ago and they approved it? I thought that said 1.8 on that. It's in there, it's somewhere.
Okay, I'll show it.
I
can't remember the amount.
$1,044,198 and something like that.
Right
In the
on.
cash account?
Yeah, the cash flow goes in the trust, $1,044,000.
The question is why I don't know how I ever got out of the number.
Well, see, down there in the liabilities, accrued landfill closure is $955,000. So we owe that too. So that's what's accrued.
We accrue an expense every
Yeah.
year on that, and then we can put into, as long as we have that report you're talking about that we did to the state, as long as we have that or above that each year is met.
Okay, I just wondered why I got up there.
We can put more into it if we want, which there is more into it than what, based off the years of, the life of the expected of the landfill.
That's
That
good
makes
to me
sense.
too.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. If there are no further questions, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Balance statements approved. Item 7, council members, city treasurer Trask, discussion for possible action, approval of collective bargaining agreement between the city of Ely and operating engineers local 3, July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024.
Well, we negotiated and came up with this as a possible agreement between the two, so I guess if you have any questions.
Who is the city negotiating team?
It was myself, Jennifer Lee, the city clerk, and Shane, the city attorney.
Thank you.
I have one question. We got that letter from the lead man, and I have to agree with what he has to say. And I know there might be some other reasons in here, but all the lead men had the same amount of salary.
Well, they didn't actually have all the same amount. Actually, Carl, who has the most certifications, actually had the lowest wages there. We were just trying to even them all out based off of the responsibilities that these people have to the state, was the theory behind that.
I want to place it on the record really quick.
Pardon me?
I just want to place that conversation on the record real quick and then discuss it. And so Michael Sturgeon, our street department lead, did send an email to the city council and mayor. And in that email, he expressed his displeasure with the variance and increases. He was not pleased with the variance between street lead, landfill lead, treatment plant, and water lead. Treasurer Trask responded to that email indicating that only those 3 leads, the landfill, wastewater, and treatment plant, water sewer department, receive the additional increases above and beyond the increases already given because of their direct responsibilities to the state of Nevada and their state certifications. And so the 3 leads who have to have and carry state certifications received a greater increase. And so I just wanted to place the background on the record and go ahead and express your comments.
And they've always had that. But prior to it, landfill was 2669. Maintenance, I believe this is gone. Street was 2669. The water, 2630. And the water sewer, 2630. They were all within 30 cents, and then we opened them up to over $1, and you all of them got the same now, with the exception of the street. I just don't think that's fair. I mean, whether there's more certification, the guy's been there, I don't know. I mean, it shocks me that they'll take $1 or $2 more for the other 3, and I understand there might be some more permanent, more licensing, but I think all these guys work very hard, and I'm a strong supporter of our crew, so I would like to see a more equal all the way down, but that's up to the council.
And
Sure.
I explained the reason behind that,
I read
the
it.
email that I sent, and the union agreed to it, so I guess that's all I can give you there. That was the reasoning behind it.
And then if I could throw my 2 cents in, I'm really not disputing the money, for sure. But I do have a question on maybe the job description. Because at this point, I'm not too sure what the job requirements are and what certification we're requiring at this point. Something I probably should have done earlier, but it's just something I thought of this afternoon, and I would feel a little more comfortable looking at the job description and making sure we have the right certifications for the right leadman.
Jeanette, can you tell us, like with the street, his only required certification, right, is the CDL? He doesn't have to
Yeah.
get any other certifications with the state?
No.
But the other 3 do.
The landfill, from what I understand,
I'm not too sure.
I'm not too sure, but he does have, at least my understanding of it is that he still has requirements that he has to meet at the state level. Now, I know we talked about it,
Mhm.
and you said BJ's involved in it, but I talked to BJ about it, and he stated that he has to compile all that information to bring to them for what they do, and I can't tell you right now what it is. And BJ says, yes, they do, but Thomas brings them all the information they need to compile what does go to the state. I do know that the landfill has the largest crew out there. That was the theory behind it, and yes,
The pay is based, though, not on crew size or anything like
No,
that. It's
it
based
wasn't.
solely upon
the
certifications.
whole
they
thing
hold.
was based off of their responsibility. By responsibility to the state or responsibility to state in their certifications. That was the thought process behind it.
And so if we do approve this as is, I guess my concern is if we look at the job description and they don't have the correct qualifications or certificates, then they're gonna want an additional raise on top of that to go get certified.
That's just it, they all are certified where they need to be right now, under the requirements.
Are we sure about that?
They wouldn't have got it if they didn't have to. It's-
I just think there's a little bit of gray area there. honestly.
I mean, it definitely, the job descriptions need to be updated that's just something that needs to
Because
be
I think
done.
if we had more fluid, work your way up the ladder, it might help with retention and
that's-
recruitment for sure.
Yeah,
And for people to take the extra steps to go get certified.
Well, and we have
So-
discussed the
And-
need for that.
yeah, if you see, we've added, what we did is to help, that is what we were working towards, is trying to give these, each departments, to give them levels to move up in, to not just be a service worker and never get to advance. We're trying to give them some steps here, so we broke out the service worker 1 and 2, along with the equipment operator 1, 2, and 3 was the same across the board. So what we wanted to do, and the union agreed was we separated it out by department. So that gives us the leeway now to say, okay, let's go in and look at these job descriptions and give them a chance to move up. It might be, yes, we might say the service workers within 2 years, which we did with the wastewater treatment plant, has to get their first certification. Then they advance up to a higher level. It gives them a chance to move up the wage scale to some point, instead of just being a service worker all the time and having no opportunity to move up. Before, really, the only opportunity to move up the wage scale on this was to become an equipment operator, and you had to get your CDL with that. And we have been really good, I feel. We work with these people, but in the past, if there wasn't an actual equipment operator position available in that department, regardless if they got their CDL or not, they weren't going to become an equipment operator. That's changed. If they're willing to get their CDL and they can pass off on the operator one, they can at least go up to an operator one. We're trying to give them some incentives to stay and to work their way up, and it's just a process. This is the first step, I feel like, and it's just a process that we've got to work on, we've got to work on.
In the case of the street lead man, there's just no other certifications for him to get. So what's the, I guess what would be the incentive that we're offering for him to stay and work?
But, and that's just it. At some point, you're gonna hit the top level, and there is no other place to go. I mean, there's only so far we can take this. And we talked about it, I talked about it with Kurt, possible other areas of working up. But those positions would actually work their way out of the union and into a supervisor or an appointed position.
So your recommendation in the case of the street lead man is exactly what you proposed here?
Yes, and that's based off of what I gave you. If you, once again, that's,
Oh, sorry.
Just one last thing was, I suppose the flip side of this is if you make it equal, then the other lead people that we have who have the certifications would feel like they're getting paid the same for doing more work than having the
that's
certifications.
the very.
Is that the other side of that coin?
Yes.
That was exactly the point that I was going to make. I mean, I definitely think, I'm, like you said, Ed, I definitely am supportive of all of our crews and think they all work hard, and I appreciate what each one of them does, but I think that if you have positions that require certifications and you don't incentivize them to get those certifications by giving them additional pay than other positions that don't require those certifications, what is the motivation? There isn't any.
I mean, I suppose whoever is the street leadman, if they want to move up and there's opportunity in one of these other lead positions, they can get the certification.
Yes, they can.
To that,
They're
and
not-
get paid more, right?
Yeah.
And so the bottom line, I'm still kind of beating the drum here, is I would just like to make sure that we have the correct certifications with the water and the sewer ones before we approve this.
Right.
Not so much
But don't we
just-
have the HR director telling us that they're
Well, I
certified in the
need
way that
to
they
We
need
don't
to be?
have that.
I do know that Carl has the 2 certifications that was required for his job.
I believe it's a 3 mil.
Well, like I said, I'm still digging up job descriptions,
Do we
but
have-
I have never heard that they had to have a 3.
Do we have planned to review that and have the council review this at the next meeting, or is this time sensitive
No,
to review?
because we're gonna have the fire one on the next meeting. So we can,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm going to table job descriptions next time.
I got some comments first. First of all, I believe this is across the board 5% raise. Biggest raise that's been given out in the city in probably 15 years. As for the street lead, his CDL license, he has that for the equipment. You take Q&D right now, there's guys up there that can run every piece of equipment. They've got all the licensing, or CDLs, whatever. But if he's a supervisor, that puts his pay grade higher because he's a supervisor. Mike in the street lead position, he's doing his job, doing an outstanding job. That's what we hired him to do. Okay, that's all I'll say on that, is it's for these certificates. Raul, who is our go-to man, we're hiring this guy, every report, he states, we've got to push to get these people to get certified. So that's the incentive to do this. And whether it's one, A, B, C, D, whatever the certifications are, I don't know. I know the sewer plant is an important position. We don't have nobody certified to run it. That's why we're paying Raul a lot of money. But look what happened about 6 years ago when the water tank was tampered into. One of our employees could have went to jail for that. So he had a legal obligation to do that job right to the state. So I think, sure, we gotta give the job description. I think it's just a waste of time to go through that. And another thing I want to point out, these different levels of operators, service workers, that's a big plus. If an individual is motivated, they will go get a CDL license. We had an employee retire last year in June, 32 years. He stayed a service worker. He did not want a CDL license. Everybody made $7,000, $8,000 more than him. He was happy with that. But you can take somebody working in the parks, service worker, get a CDL license. That person can stay in the parks where we need that person, but make a higher rate of pay. It's how much motivation they want to put out to go do this. If they're content, we're offering them full-time employment, heck of good benefits. There's a lot of plus on that when you look past these hourly wages. It's a tough deal, but to hold it up, because we're going to check on a certification. Homework should have been done with beforehand. But we're getting words from Raul, we got to get the certification. So I'm not putting the pressure on her. If it's out there, it's out there. But I
So
think,
do you think we should just blindly just do this and then look up the certifications later? I tried to look for them this afternoon. We could not provide them.
I think it's like any job description. We have job descriptions. Look what we did for the fire department. 106 years, never had a job description for the fire chief. We finally did one. Now we got a job description.
And we just approved the building inspector too, and we're encouraging him in incremental steps to get certified.
Exactly right.
So what's the difference?
We just grab one, water sewer to lead involved, because he's got two. That's what it is. They go into, is this a year long, a year?
Well,
This contract is 1 year?
this one's a 3-year,
3 years.
yes.
With an annual.
With an annual opener for negotiation of wages. So we're
Okay.
locked in for 3 years, other than the wages, we'll look at that each year. So we've got time to develop these different things if you wanted to be more, if we wanted to say, okay, no, we want this lead person to get a D3. Because right now, I don't, and like I said, I have to verify, I never remember them ever having to get to that point to be the lead person.
And it'd just be nice to do our homework and make sure that we
Yeah.
have what we need. in
But
this.
the thing is we are trying, the biggest portion of this is the 5% that we're giving because our employees stuck with us, most of them stuck with us
And I'm
through
not
this
disputing that
last
one
thing.
bit at all.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. So I guess that's my point is, this is stuff that we can work on.
Sure, yeah.
With
Going
that
forward.
discussion, would you like to continue with your motion of tabling?
I would, yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilman Carson to table until the next meeting while we review existing job descriptions, is it?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll
So,
second that.
motion, second from Councilwoman Bucci. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 4 ayes, 1 nay. Councilman Allworth, item passes. We'll revisit that on the first meeting in June. We'll move on to, let's see, we're on item 8. Council members, city treasurer Trask, discussion for possible action. Approval of resolution 2021-2 for the purpose of augmenting the city of Eagles redevelopment fund using unbudgeted revenue collected in the redevelopment fund to apply towards supply and service expenses in the redevelopment fund. And this was the issue you brought up
Yep.
regarding the, okay. Motion to approve from Councilman Spear, second from Councilman Allworth. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 9, council members, city fire chief Stork, discussion for possible action, approval of recommendation to immediately suspend open burning in City of Ely limits through September 30th, 2021. This proposed action would not affect previously approved open burning permits.
I'll make that motion.
My question was, does this apply to, if people have backyard fire pits and things?
I think when we passed the resolution, we discussed that, and it does not.
Does not.
Yeah, it's recommended having a hose.
Right, yeah.
I'll entertain a motion on this.
Councilman Allworth made the motion to approve.
Second, I'm sorry. Councilman Allworth, motion, Councilman Spear seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 10, Councilmember City Clerk Lee, consideration of appeal by Sam Vida regarding nuisance notice on his residence located at 2160 Crawford Street. I believe you have a letter from Mr. Vida in there. This is Vida, right? Vida.
So I took a look, I took a drive down there today and took a look. It looks like there's cleanup in progress, is that the case?
Yeah, it was quite an order to bring it up for you. Yeah,
Mr. Vida is requesting additional time.
no, I would like to drop that pavement on the property. I've been, I think, going on beyond the Call of Duty for cleaning up my yard, and I'm asking for you to drop that pavement. I paid a water bill and a water bill and trash bill for the property for a 6-year bill that nobody lived at the water was on. I asked you to drop this bill against me, and you put a lien against me for the water bill, said you wouldn't drop the water bill. So I think it's criminal. So please, leave me off your agenda, stop the abatement. I'm a citizen here for all my life. And I think some of your actions are criminal. That's all.
So the letter that we have is requesting more time. And like I said, drove down there today, and I do not frequent that part of town, so I don't know what it looked like before. I would be inclined to say, thank you so much for your work, and I think that, that an extended amount of time, I don't know how much the council thinks is reasonable, but I think that sounds fine to me. But, there are ordinances, so.
Well, I'd like to just drop that abatement, not clean my yard. There's only a couple more things I have to do, like there's a trailer in the yard with a busted axle, and I'll need some heavy equipment to move it. And as far as the rest, I got the weeds all cleaned up, I got the garbage gone. I just think it should be dropped, the abatement.
What's your plans for your burnt building, Sam?
I would like to rebuild it. There's just a roof job and, some rafters, most of it's smoke damage, And recently I just deeded it to my son, so I'm not sure. He might want to tear it down and start over, I don't know.
So, just for clarity on the record, Mr. Vida is withdrawing his request for additional time, is requesting that the complaint be dropped.
Yes.
The council has, if they have more questions for Mr. Vida or any discussion, I'll entertain that now.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the council on this item?
We have ordinances on the book that says this action the city is taking has been passed. I think we need to keep moving forward with ordinances on the book. We're working hard at making some progress finally to get this done. I'm sorry the building burnt, but there is a lot of time to clean this thing up, and he doesn't even want to give us a timeline, 1 month, 2 months. So
Yeah, I would have been inclined to move to give him an extended amount of time, but since that request has been withdrawn,
We have a motion from the council on a course of action.
have the attorney do the next step. Next step, he can't remember the steps how they go. He came in front of
Councilman Oliver, I just pulled them up, and so the step today is that the council can, after this hearing, indicate that a nuisance does exist and continue with a reasonable time, and then 30 days would be allowed to have that cleaned up. If it's not cleaned up within 30 days, then we're here for an abatement proceeding.
Is that another agenda item that has to happen on the next meeting, or is that something that happens just automatically if his appeal doesn't happen today?
So just as the items upcoming on the agenda would be an order for abatement. So right now what's happened is a complaint has been issued, an appeal has been timely filed, the time has been told, and so the appeal is indicating whether there is or is not a nuisance. The city council can declare that a nuisance is in fact there. If that is the case, then the time begins to run again, and that time is 30 days.
30 days after the second.
But the agenda tonight is just whether or not to approve his appeal.
Correct, and so the options are to decide if there is a nuisance, there is not a nuisance, or if the nuisance is caused by the city. Those are the three options.
I don't think Mr. Bina clearly understands that. He wants you to drop it. If not, he needs additional time. The man's sick.
Thank you, George. The request for Mr. Vita, I think, has been understood by the council. And I'm ready for a motion.
I make the motion to take the next legal step forward 30 days, to get 30 days.
So that would be a motion that the nuisance still exists and we have 30 days for.
And the time frame continues to run.
Okay. We have a motion from Councilman Orr. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Councilwoman Beecher. Further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. On to item 11, council member, city attorney manual discussion for possible action. Let's see, approval of abatement action to include the removal of excessive tires, wrecked cars, scrap metal on private property located at 2143 Almond Street, Ely, Nevada, APN 001-226-02. Mr. Lewis.
Hi. Well, I mean, I don't believe the ordinance applies to commercial. If it does, when are the other commercial yards going to get cleaned up? Once again, government harassment, bullying. The councilman one of your councilmen has his own yard with trash trucks, flat cover. What are you doing? This is not right. The tires is construction material. The cars is support for my Cruise-In Automotive. Okay? The metal, you want to charge me to dispose of it here, so I take it to Las Vegas. So I bought that commercial property so I can operate my business. So what is it that I'm doing illegal?
If I could offer on those, your scrap metal, when that crushing outfit comes to town, he actually went, you contact him, he will come to your yard and he will smash them. He done that for a person out behind Bob Van Camp's property.
I agree.
So you have an opportunity on that, and they'll haul it off for you, whatever money they make, I don't know.
Twice I've asked him, and he ran out of time, but twice I've asked him, because he will take them without, but not all of them I can dispose of, because some I'm working on a lien because they owe me money. There's a few. The ones that you're complaining, that you're saying wrecked car, one belongs to an ex-employee of mine that moved out of town during COVID, and he's planning on coming back to get it, so I'll have issues if I dispose of that. The other one is one that I need an engine out of, and I just need time to get it out. And just so you know, 30 days is a hardship on a business. I haven't even recovered from COVID. I'm lending money to the business. You told me I got 30 days? That's bullying. The ordinance, I don't